Hello geometry students. Today we're covering section 1-4 day 1, which is on angle measures. You were to look in your book and define a ray, and you should have written that it has two endpoints and it extends indefinitely. Down below then you were asked to draw a ray, and I have mine already drawn. Here's one right here. And then I have to name it. The endpoint is X and it runs over A, so that is called ray XA. In my second example, I have it going to the left. You still start with the endpoint D and it's going over C, so it's called ray DC, and so that ray is always pointing towards the right. In the next part of your notes, you were supposed to define opposite rays. Opposite rays are rays that go in opposite directions such that the points are collinear. And then you were asked to draw a picture of opposite rays, and I have opposite rays drawn already. AB and AC in my picture are opposite rays, and when you have opposite rays, they are collinear, which means they form a straight line. And so when you have straight lines, that angle is going to be 180 degrees. So anytime you have angles that make a straight line, they're going to equal 180 degrees. Then in your notes you were asked to define an angle. And an angle is the intersection of two non-collinear rays at a common endpoint. You were asked to draw an angle and then identify the parts. And so I already have my angle drawn, and the point that is shared by those two rays is called the vertex. So my vertex is point B. And then the other parts are the sides, which are rays. So I have ray BA, and then I have ray BC. Let's talk about how we name angles as well. You can name them by 3 letters, so I can call it angle A, B, C, or if you wanted to do it the other way and start with C first and then go BA, that would be fine. You could also name it by just the vertex. If you have one angle, in this example I have one angle, so I could just call it angle B. And then sometimes you might have a number inside of that angle, and so I just wrote a 1 inside there. I could call it angle 1. Now the vertex B can only be used if you have one angle, which is all I have right now in angle ABC. Over here on the side, when I add another ray in there, now I cannot call that angle B because I have a number of different angles here. I have the angle up here, I have the angle down here, and then I have the entire angle. So only when you have one angle can you name it by the vertex. And then when you're measuring angles, you're measuring them in degrees. And the last thing I asked you to do in your notes is to name the 3 ways to classify angles and define them. You probably have that done already. You have a right angle. Those are angles that are 90 degrees. And you're supposed to draw a picture. So you put a corner marking right there. That tells me that I have a 90-degree angle. Acute angles are less than 90 degrees. They're kind of acute. And then obtuse angles are more than 90 degrees. Okay, so let's take a look at the exercises that you have in your notes. It says refer to the figure at the right. And so I'm asked to name the vertex of angle 4. So here's where my angle 4 is. The vertex is the end point of the two rays, and so that would be point B. In number 2, it says name the sides of BDC. Let me erase here. So now I'm going to name the sides of BDC. And this helps me, people. If I identify the angle like that and trace over it, that helps me see what my angle is. So my ray DB and my ray DC. And then our last question. Asks us to name another name for DBC, and we could call that angle 3. We can use the number there. Now, if you're thinking about calling it angle B, that's not correct, because we do have two angles right here. This could be angle B, and that could be angle B, and the whole thing could be angle B. So we cannot use just one vertex. And if you changed your letters C, B, D, that would be another way to name that angle. And so at this point, we're done with day 1. Tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to do a sketch related to section 1-4, do some explorations, and then we'll watch a video lesson. So you can begin on the first part of section 1-4. You guys have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow in class.